Hello, myself Dr. Kalyani, working as Associate Professor in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering of Institute of Aeronautical Engineering. In this video, I will discuss regarding project and process. So what is the project and how this can be used and what are various tasks, what is the framework activities in the project, what are the processes and what are the major framework processes and umbrella activities that are involved in the process discussed elaborately in this video. This topic learning outcome is mapped to the course outcome of CO1, which is identify the appropriate process model, approaches and techniques to manage a given software development process. So what is software project is? A project is set of tasks that must be completed to achieve one objective. So in other words, what are the day-to-day transactions or activities of the business organization that must be automated by using the software project. Projects have definite scope and deadlines. So an example of a project would be creating a website for a university or effort to integrate employees the HR management system. The project scope is a big activity comprising smaller activities done to create value in the form of a product or service. So a big task must be divided into smaller tasks so that project management can be easily tracked. So these activities do not have a predefined model. They are very contextual and asynchronous. So it includes customized planning, exploration, ideation, research and discussion regarding the achievement of defined goals. So depending on the size and scope of the project, the number of project stakeholders will differ. What are the benefits of a software project? Projects have previously defined budget without an unexpected cost. So budget must be planned ahead by consideration with the resources and manpower. They streamline teamwork and clarity about what results to be expected. The end product must be clearly defined and project have an end date which make organization easier. So project schedules are planned in the analysis phase only so that defined deadlines must be established in order to complete the tasks of the software project. The project management is the field of planning and organizing events that have cut-off times for completion. So the resources, the cost and budget estimation, project scheduling and the defining of project scope is the activities that are carried out and must be considered in the project management. So the project manager is the role. The project manager is the charge for getting the team involved in the assigned task, monitoring resources, coordinating their use in order to achieve the defined objective. So to accomplish this project management, various phases are involved. The phases are generally initiation, planning, execution, and monitoring and controlling. So the project manager is the responsible role which follows these phases for the project management in order to track the progress and controlling the project activities. So initiation, the first phase of the project management. So here the abstract idea or the goal of the project must be identified. Thus the objectives, budget, deadline, team and leader assigning each person to a role must be created. So in the planning activity, It must be the second phase, and it is an important phase, and which is used to create a risk mitigation plan with the strategies needed for minimizing them. So risk must be identified, proactive strategies must be established during the planning phase. The next phase is the execution. In this stage, the project manager should guide the work, monitoring the team progress and contributing to the proper progress. The last phase of the project management is monitoring and controlling. The project manager should track the progress, resource utilized in order to keep the project within the budget and on the track and on time. So the best practices for the project management are: establish priorities with a schedule and use project management softwares. Have periodic meetings in order to review the progress. Use effective communication skills. Be proactive by offering more than planned can increase a project value. Continuously develop project management skills. After that, the process. The process is previously established procedure that is divided into phases and repeated to fulfill determined objectives. So a process is just a list of events that the user is repeatedly do in chronological order. An example might be hiring a new employee or the steps involved for the purchase of an online product. At each of these steps, at least one stakeholder is involved. So these must be concentrated in the processes. These processes can have one framework. A software process framework is a structured approach that defines the steps, tasks, activities involved in the software development. So this framework serves as a foundation for software engineering, guiding the development team through various stages to ensure systematic and efficient process. So a software process framework helps in project planning, risk management, quality assurance by detailing chronological order of actions. And this is the structure of software process framework. So here for software process comprises of majorly two framework activities, that is process framework activities and umbrella activities. The process framework activities are the major activities and produces major milestones for the project. Umbrella activities are supporting activity to enhance the functionality of the major process framework activities. The umbrella activities generally comprises of action task. Each action task must have work task, milestone and SQA points. So the software process can have tasks, actions and activities. So the task is focused on the small specific objective, and action is set of tasks that produce a major work product. Activities are group of related tasks and actions for a major objective. So the factors that are selected for the process framework, which framework must be suited for the project development, is consider frameworks language, open source or the paid frameworks, the community and support, review case studies and example applications, test the framework yourself. So the major process framework activities are 5 activities are there. The first one is communication, second one planning, third one modeling, Next, construction. Last one, deployment. During communication activity, major focus on the requirement gathering, the collection and identifying valuable requirements, and categorize these requirements as functional and non-functional requirement, and validation of these requirements must be done, and these frozen requirements must be documented in the SRS in the communication activity. In the planning activity, the resources required for the project scope and objective must be estimated in terms of cost, time, and quality. The modeling activity presents the blueprint of the project by using variety of case tools and UML diagrams like class diagram, sequence diagram, use case diagram, etc. The construction activity generally involves the development of the source code, and the testing must be done with variety of testing mechanisms and various levels of testing like unit testing, integration testing, system testing, user acceptance testing. The user accepted project is deployed in the deployment phase to the customer side after alpha testing and beta testing. So these are the major framework activities. So in the communication activity, the major tasks that must be performed are the requirement gathering and objective setting. So during requirement gathering, engaging with consumers, stakeholders through meetings, interviews and surveys to understand their needs and expectations. In the objective setting, clearly defining what the system should achieve based on the gathered requirements. During planning, the work plan, creating a detailed plan that outlines the tasks, activities needed to develop the software. And in the risk assessment, identifying potential technical risks, planning how to mitigate them with risk mitigation plans. And the resource allocation, determining the resources in terms of time, personnel and tools required for the project. Schedule definition, setting a timeline for completing different phases of the project. The next framework activity is modeling. It comprises of majorly two tasks, analysis of the requirement and the design. In the analysis of the requirement, breaking down the gathered requirement to understand what the system needs to do. And in the designing, creating architectural, detailed designs that outline how the software will be structured, how it will function. So the modeling must be used variety of UML diagrams. Example use case diagram for the ATM functionality representation, which is used for the requirement gathering, and who are the stakeholders or users involved in the system is easily understand what functionality the system must represent, how users are interacting with the system is easily modeled with the use case diagram. So here for the ATM system, in the use case diagram, three stakeholders are involved: the customer, technician and the bank. The customer can interact with the functionalities of creating balance and funds, withdraw cash, transaction funds like this. So how the users must interacting with what modules or functionalities of the system is easily modeled with the use case diagram. So the bank must involved in all functional activities, but the technician is involved in the maintenance and repair functionalities. One more example of modeling with the sequence diagram for the ATM. So what are the sequence of activities that are carried out in the involved objects lifeline? So here three objects must be considered: the user, ATM and the bank. And these are the lifeline of these objects. During these lifeline, how these objects are interacted, that sequence must be represented and modeled with the sequence diagram. So here in the user, first insert the card so that the ATM is requested for the PIN. If the user entered the PIN, then the processing must be activated so that ATM system is verified with the bank with whether the valid PIN or not. Then the valid, if at all it is a valid case, that has to be feedback to the user, and the next option must be opened. So that the withdrawal option is selected by the user, and what is the amount withdrawal that must be given as a request, so that the amount must be withdrawn by the user. So what are the sequence of activities or actions that are performed by the objects that are involved in the transaction in a sequence over the lifeline is modeled with the sequence diagram. During the interaction, the point or focus of control must be activated to show at what time, at what instance the object must be active. The next framework activity is the construction activity. It involves code generation and testing. In the code generation, writing actual code based on the design modules. Testing generally involves running tests to ensure the software works as intended, identifying and fixing the bugs. The deployment is generally involve product release, feedback collection, product improvement. So product release is delivering the software to the user for a full release or on a staged or incremental fashion. Feedback collection generally focus on gathering feedback from the users about their experience with the software. The product improvement is making changes or improvements based on the feedback and enhance the features of the project. So the popular process frameworks that are available are Angular, React.js, Django, Flask framework, Ruby on Rails, Spring, Express, Laravel, and ASP.NET Core. After the major framework activities, those activities must be supported with a set of umbrella activities. The umbrella activities are series of steps or procedures followed by a software development team to maintain progress, quality, changes, risks of complete development task. So these steps of umbrella activities will evolve through phases of the generic view of the software development. So generally, common activities apply to the entire software project and help the software development team manage and track progress, quality, changes, and the risks. So here these are the list of umbrella activities. They are the risk management, measurement and metrics, reusability management, document preparation and production, software configuration management, software quality assurance, formal technical reviews, software project tracking and controlling. The software project tracking and controlling is the activity that allows software team to check the progress of software development. So before actual development starts, make the software development plan and develop on this plan basis. After a certain period of time, it is necessary to analyze the development progress to find out what measures need to be taken. So, to assess the progress, the project tracking and controlling is the useful umbrella activity. It must be accepted at an appropriate time after the completion of the development testing. Then the test results may need to reschedule the development time. One more umbrella activity is the risk management. It is a series of steps help the software development teams understand and manage the uncertainty. So it is very good idea to identify the risk, assess the likelihood of happening, assess its impact, and develop, if the problem does happen, contingency plan. One more umbrella activity is Software Quality Assurance (SQA). It defines and conducts the activities required to ensure software quality. The quality of the software, such as user experience, performance, workload flexibility, must be tested and verified after reaching the specified milestones, which reduces the task at the end of the development process, which must be performed by a dedicated team so that the development activity must be continued. So, the development team and SQA team are two separate teams in the software organization. Next is the Formal Technical Review (FTR). So, it assesses software engineering work products in an effort to uncover and remove the errors before they are propagating to the next activity. So, software engineering is done in clusters or modules. So, after completing each module, it is good practice to review the completed module to find out and remove errors so they are not propagating to the next module. Next umbrella activity is measurement and metric. This includes all measurement of all aspects of the software project. So, quantitative measuring of each role's work must be required in the software organization. Define and compile processes, product metrics to help the team deliver software that meet the needed stakeholders. It can be used in conjunction with all other framework and general operations. Software Configuration Management (SCM) manages the impact of changes throughout the software development process. So, software configuration management is a set of activities designed to manage changes by identifying work products that can be changed, establishing relationships between them, and defining mechanisms for managing different versions of the softwares. So, the changes can be easily accommodated, planned with the help of SCM activities. Reusability management is one more umbrella activity that defines the standards for the reuse of work products, including software components, and develop mechanisms to implement reusable components. So, this includes the approval of any part of backing up software project or any type of support provided for updated or update in the future. So, update the software according to the user or current time requirement is done with the help of reusability management. Work product preparation and production. It encompasses the activities required to create work product such as models, documents, logs, forms, and lists. So, example of process frameworks are the waterfall model, agile model, and DevOps. The waterfall model is a linear sequential approach to the software development with distinct phases such as requirement gathering, design, implementation, testing and maintenance. The advanced or enhanced waterfall model is the Agile framework, which is a flexible, iterative approach to software development. So, with an emphasis on rapid prototyping and continuous delivery are the major focus in the Agile software development. The latest one is the DevOps, a set of practices that aims to improve collaboration and communication between development and operation teams with an emphasis on automating the software delivery process. So, the benefits of processes are greater control of the results, better perspective of the employees, identification of bottlenecks, clearly defined and structured workflows, actions based on the data. So, the process management majorly used with reducing the difficulties and problems in the processes with a focus on improving the efficiency in execution. So, process standardization makes workflows more agile in addition to finding opportunities for process automation and putting them into practice. The best practices for the process management is mapping the documenting process visually makes it easier to understand and offers a micro overview. So the case tools and UML diagrams helps a lot for this purpose. Analysis is important to establish the root cause of the problem and properly correct it. Redesign important to take into account any additional resources need to implement requirement changes. So change of requirement must be concentrated so that to prevent errors to propagate to the next levels. Implementation is to make sure the entire team is aware of the problems, solutions and changes to be made to the process. Revision monitoring changes and unpredictable result ongoing improvement in process should always be encouraged. What is the difference between project versus process? So the project is set of tasks to achieve a certain objective, but process is set of stages that aim to achieve an objective. The duration must be in the project have a predetermined duration with a set of defined start and end points. But in case of processes, it tend to be repetitive and done periodically. And for example, the project is creating a communication channel or website for an university or any HR process management software. But process is the customer attention stages and it can be a task, simple task. So these are the difference between the project and process. And these are the references that are used in this video. So thank you.
Like, share and subscribe. Hit the bell icon for more updates.